Well, hello, 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 and this is Rebecca Happy here at Ottawa BuzzTV. And today we're talking about happiness. We're in the middle of this extra long, freezing cold winter, and some of us are fed up. But the search for happiness has been, linked to better quality relationships, more productivity, better sleep, and a whole lot of other things. People have studied happiness for decades, if not centuries. They never study on happiness. That seems to be something we want to get rid of. So today we have a special guest, Stephen Whiteley, who is known as the most inspirational man of the year from 2011, and he is the happiness coach who got rid of unhappiness for good. So welcome, Stephen.
Thanks, Rebecca. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'm really hoping that you're going to give us some clues as to how we can get rid of that unhappiness. So
Absolutely.
you were telling me earlier that you were 35 years a fighter pilot with the armed forces, and you were getting unhappier by the day in a lot of areas of your life. Maybe about a decade ago you decided that you were fed up with it and it was time to move on. Tell us a little bit about that transitionary moment and what you've done to eliminate unhappiness.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's funny how things pile up on you and you get to the end of your rope. And one day I was just had another fight at home and I was walking to work and my head was down and everything was going round and round and it seemed like there was no solution in sight when all of a sudden I had a moment of epiphany and I realized that something deadly simple is I'm feeling badly again. And that's not me. I don't normally do that. And so I made a decision there and then that I was going to get happy again no matter what. And the only thing that's different about that decision than a lot of people make is that I decided not to change my environment, but to change me. And that has made all of the difference.
So working in the military, I can imagine it's always probably pretty serious and stressed out. Where did you have sort of like this insight? Where did this insight come from that you had to change something within you in order to bring about change?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, I had been a happy person before, so I knew that I could be happy. And second of all, I had always been interested in the human mind, how you could better it, how you could change it, how you could take more advantage of it. And so all of these things, I think, came together to make me realize that the idea was not to try to change my environment, but that both the source and the solution were within me.
So I've decided today maybe that I'm fed up. I'm at the same place you were a decade ago. What would be my first steps? Like, what were your first steps? Like, what did you do? It's like, okay, I have to make a change, but where did you begin?
Okay, so the first thing I did was make a commitment, not even realizing that I had at the time, but I remember what I said was, I'm getting happy again no matter what, which is a very serious commitment. And commitment changes the universe for us. The universe listens and shifts when we become committed. And so becoming committed, one of the first things that happened to me was I went to a conference for a totally different reason. And while I was there, I learned my purpose for living. And having our soul's purpose for living is very enlightening, like in the sense of you feel lighter, you feel motivated. So you get this meaning and fulfillment in your life when you start aligning with it that really makes it a daily way of being to be doing what it is you're committed to. So commitment, I think, was the real big part of it. And then what fueled it from that commitment was connecting with meaning and purpose.
So did you, who helped you along the way? Like when, obviously if you were 35 years in the military, you had a lot of training to be, the fighter pilot and work as a good soldier. And which seems very, very different than going on a quest for what meaning and purpose is for your soul. So who helped you?
Yeah. Okay, so I had a few helpers along the way, but the biggest thing was that I helped myself. But I got a lot of help from neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. And that's where I actually discovered the purpose of my soul, and that's where I actually learned to shift my mind quickly and effectively and to gain the skills to help other people do the same. So I would say my biggest help has been neuro-linguistic programming.
And you worked with people, or is this all sort of the research of the mind that you said was always an interest to you?
Yeah, no, I worked with people as well. So I took 2 levels of neuro-linguistic programming training. So there was a trainer out in Edmonton, Alberta, where I took my first session, and then I went to one of the major schools in Colorado for the master level training. And I connected with a lot of teachers there because we were there for 20 working days. And just about every day there was another trainer who came in. So we had lots and lots of people who came and helped us out.
So how far along did you, in your sort of research and training, retraining of how you're living your life, did you start to see impactful transformation in your life from being unhappy to being happy?
Yeah, well, it started slow, and it was much easier to understand it looking backwards than it was, at the time coming through it. But in addition to this NLP training that I did, I also became a student of life. And so I just started reading all kinds of books on things that were interesting to me. And so I was picking up tools little bit by little bit. Like one of the things I learned after this purpose was gratitude. So I started really practicing gratitude, being grateful for the people around me, being grateful for the very simple things in life. There's so much to be grateful for all the time, every day. Like, just like, wow, I'm still breathing. There's life in me. This is good. Thank you. Or, you get out of bed and you go, oh, I got to get out of bed. How about, oh, I'm so thankful for this beautiful sleep I have. I feel refreshed. And the feel of this mattress and these covers and this pillow, it's so nice. I'm so lucky to have this. Thank you. And this idea of gratitude is really huge for happiness over the long term.
So as this was happening in your development, like how did that impact, your place of work, the military, or your family relationships? Like what were you saying? Were you sharing it, or were people thinking you were kind of like you lost it? What was happening?
There are kind of 2 things that were happening almost in opposition to each other, because on the one hand, I was having more fun and I was getting more done and I was connecting better with people. But at the same time, in the beginning, I made a big mistake as I really tried to pass on what I was learning to everybody around me. And everybody around me wasn't that interested.
No kidding.
And so a lot of them went the other way. And that was hugely beneficial to me because it made me wake up to a truth, which is, it's not our job to change other people. It's our job to change us. And only when other people want our help is it our job to help them. So help is a very misconstrued term. Help is only help in the eye of the receiver, not in the eye of the giver.
So you stopped paying attention to those around you unless they asked what you like. Did they come and say, wow, you seem really happy these days. What's going on?
Yeah, well, that's a part of it. But, even in my family, it was more of example, actually, that brought the shift. So, there became less and less fighting. There became less and less blaming. There became more and more action, very slowly, and everybody in their own way. But as my awakening continued and I allowed others to be as they wanted to be, and I just loved unconditionally, then over time there was a gradual improvement on their side as well.
Cool. So a few years into this, you decided it was time to write a book? Like, was that when you figured out that you were happy, or that you thought you were so excited with what had happened that you wanted to share? What brought that about?
Yeah. Well, when I started, I didn't know there was anybody else in the world who was really able to change their happiness level and understand what happiness was and to bring that about and help others do the same. And so I was working on starting up a business out of this because that was aligned with my purpose, and I was thinking about my second career after the military. And so what I did then was, in my business development and developing me as an entrepreneur, I realized that having a book is not only helpful to those who read it, but it's helpful for credibility building, and it's helpful to build a speaking career. And so I decided that that was a great thing to do. So I started writing the book in 2009, and I first published it in 2011.
And then you got nominated as the most for that book, the most inspirational book of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. So in December of 2011, I received a call, and they said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Yes." They said, "Well, congratulations, because you're the inspirational man of the year, and your book is the inspirational book of the year." Just about fell off my chair. Surprised me in a huge way, but I'm hugely grateful for that.
That's fantastic feedback.
Yes, indeed. After all the work you do and all the effort in working to market the book, it's really great to get that kind of feedback, just like you say.
So when did you start working actively with people to help them get to where you're going? Like, when did you decide that, wow, I'm actually equipped now, I'm happy, and I can help people? And when did you start doing that?
Yeah, so back in 2006, when I was just figuring out, how to be an entrepreneur, and I was just figuring out what is happiness really, because, if you're going to be somebody promoting happiness, you need to know what it is. And at that time, the only definition I could find was it's different things to different people. And I don't know. I don't think that's very helpful. So I decided to try to figure out what it was on my own. So I just started asking the question to the universe, right? Well, what is happiness? What is happiness? So what I realized after a while is that happiness is about harmony. Harmony with three things. First, harmony with yourself. So really loving who you are and give up fighting with yourself. Then harmony with everything and everybody around you. And then harmony with your purpose for living, because that's what brings you to the action and the meaning and the fulfillment. So if you have harmony with those three things, then the past is healed, the present is problem-free, and the future is brighter and brighter. And that's how you end on happiness for good. But back in those days, when I was first starting out, I didn't know all of that. But I did know all of these mind-shifting skills already. And so one day I was out walking my dog, and I had a person living with me who was in need of much more happiness. And as I was thinking about how can I apply what I know to help this person, then all of a sudden I had this epiphany, right? That if I take some of these NLP patterns that I know, this one and this one and this one and this one and this one, and I line them all up, then I could take anybody who, from any level of unhappiness to full, lasting, permanent happiness. And so when I got home, I started practicing it with this person who had come to live with us. And so really that's when I started, and I've been refining it and getting it better and better since then. And it's great fun helping people let go of anger, let go of stress, and really connect with their purpose.
So do you think that somebody in the military can actually take your training or coaching with you, and when they figure out their purpose and all that, they can still work in the military and be happy?
Yes, yeah, they can. But let's remember, though, that the military is about fighting.
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah. And fighting is the opposite of happiness.
Yeah.
So it has a time and a place in the military, but it also requires the flexibility of mind to do both for essential purposes. So what I found was, I was a happy person, but also I loved my job. I thought I was, everything I was doing was to promote and maintain peace. So I found it very meaningful, and I was right in the thick of things. But as time went on, and I got happier and happier, and I came to realize higher and higher truth about this, then I moved more to the margins. So you can be happy in that environment most of the time, but promoting happiness in that environment, it can be challenging.
Challenging. So you retired and left the military a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
And you fully launched your new business as a happiness coach.
that's right.
What are the next
Not
steps?
only a happiness coach, right? I'm a happiness coach and a happiness mentor, and also an author, and also a speaker.
Okay. And you're living in the city of Ottawa. So what are the next steps for you on your journey to making the world a happier place to be?
Oh, well, it's a really exciting time for me, actually. So I just published the third edition of my book, and I'm getting tremendous feedback on it. It's really great the way why did I print a third edition? I wanted to set it up so that people could engage in it easier, so they could actually get the exercises done. So I set it up to make it a whole lot easier to do that, and to make it more than a book, to make it a community, to make it a movement, so that when people really want to get some more happiness going, then they can actually join a like-minded group, and that makes it a whole lot easier, a whole lot faster, and a whole lot more successful. So that's one part of it. Then I'm also working on a couple of major initiatives right now. I was appointed to the board of the European Happiness Association earlier this year, for which I'm very grateful. And they have an initiative called the Happy City Initiative. And so I'm working to help Ottawa become a happy city. I'm also working with some fairly large organizations in the city to help them become their happy workplace that they want, because happiness is really at the foundation of everything that we really want. Whether it's health, wealth, relationships, fitness, business success, all of these things is really promoted by happiness. And so the other thing that I'm doing right now is I've just started working on my next book, which is Happiness Works in Families. How do you get your family working more happy, more healthy, more collaboratively? And so this is going to be my next book, and I'm really looking forward to that phase, helping families to increase their happiness.
Excellent. So we're going to tie it up today, and if you could just give maybe 2 or 3 tips about how people can start on the road to eliminating unhappiness and getting happy now, that they can take away from this interview, so they can get started today. What would that be? That practical.
Okay, so I'd be happy to do that. I'll give them 2 tips that they can take away and start right now. So the first one is to give themselves permission to become more than what they were growing up. So we are all unlimited potential beings. And so giving ourselves permission to be more is one of the keys of letting go of what I call the inherited emotional jail that we all live in until we break down those bars and set ourselves free to be authentic. And this permission is one of the things that will unlock the doors and let you out of that jail cell. So the second one that I would like to offer people is gratitude, because gratitude is always a possibility. No matter how bad things are, if you accept that everything has both good and bad in it, and you choose to look for the good in the seemingly bad, and apply gratitude to the idea that there's something here for you to learn and to grow from, then that's a great way of jumping out of the negativity circle and into the positivity, happy circle.
Thank you. So you said you would have an offer for anybody who watched this of, how they could find out or experience a little bit about what you're doing. And what would that be?
Well, it'll be my pleasure to offer our listeners a really special offer, because I have an online community, and what we do is daily I post on our private social media page offering inspiration, tools, and tips. And we have a great conversation going there that's helping people to let go of their troubles, helping people to connect with meaningful, purposeful living. And I'm going to offer that for 30 days for free to the Ottawa BuzzTV listeners. So if you look at the link that's on the screen, you can just go there and you'll find a link to 30 days of free membership. And that is not only the private social media page, but that's also a weekly email with a tip or a tool that you can use, and a monthly webinar that lets you know how we're going, where we're going next, and do some group coaching one-on-one or with the group with you.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us today on Ottawa BuzzTV, speaking with Stephen Whiteley, the happiness coach, on how to become happy now. See you next week when we speak to a facilitator on collaborating together to build business and build community. This is Rebecca Happy saying goodbye, and have a great day.
Thank you.